Lily Madwhip must die. Chapter 3. Return of the Weasel. Felix Clay is the man who once stuffed my father in the trunk of his own car, drove it to my school, kidnapped me, and forced me to lead him to Meredith's house. The weasel-faced huckster who used his mind-bending powers to make Meredith kill Officer Flowers. Because of Felix Clay, Tony Flowers tried to murder me for the death of his sister. Because of Felix Clay, Hecate became aware of me and kidnapped me to the Vale, which ultimately led to the death of my parents, and Meredith, and a dog, and some guy who looked like Santa Claus. Felix Clay. He looks older and tired. I guess time does that to people. I probably look older and tired too. It's late at night and I should be in bed after all. He shoves me into a small trailer that is hitched to the back of a truck. His big buddy Benny watches his back, making sure anyone who glances in our direction gets a death stare. "You've gotten taller," says Felix as he follows me inside. He points to a little metal table with a checkered plastic tablecloth, indicating for me to sit. I sit, never taking my eyes off him. The interior of the trailer is full of bead curtains and Christmas lights, and pictures of sunsets on beaches torn from the pages of magazines. There's one in particular that has the words, "You could be here," over the sunset. I don't want to be on a beach. I hate the way beaches smell like dead fish and sunscreen. I hate the noise of 100 other people sitting around talking because there's not much else to do at the beach besides go stand in the cold, stinky water that is full of fish pee. That's how growing works, I say, trying to act cool. Unfortunately, acting cool does not automatically make one feel cool. If anything, I feel like it might have been a good idea to use the bathroom before I snuck out of the foster center. There's a small bathroom in the trailer with some sort of folding door and a toilet inside that looks like a ghoulie is going to pop out of it. Strong pass on using that toilet. I hear the sound of the trailer door opening again, followed by it slamming shut. Felix looks over my shoulder at whoever has entered. I refuse to take my eyes off him, though, so whoever it is will just have to come around to my peripheral vision if they want to make themselves known. Madam What's-Her-Face, the creepy fortune teller, does just that. She looks at me curiously, then walks past Felix, dragging one of her many ringed fingers across his shoulder. That phony psychic! I should have known she was in cahoots with him. "Would you like something to drink, dear?" she asks. Is she asking me? Or is she asking Felix? She's looking at me, so I start to answer with a no, but then Felix interrupts. "Tea, please, love, and a milk for my friend here." The Kodiak-haired lady side-eyes me, clicks her teeth like a Christmas nutcracker, then shambles into the kitchen area through a curtain of clacky beads that sound a lot like her teeth when they hit each other. She returns with a milk carton that's got one of those "Have you seen me?" posters on the side with a photo of some kid from somewhere else, and pours milk from the carton into a little glass that looks like it used to be a jar of marmalade. The milk is vaguely yellowish, like the fish pea seafoam you find on the shore at the ocean. "What animal did this come from?" I ask, squinting suspiciously at my milk. She lifts a pair of glasses that hang on a chain around her neck up to her eyeballs and looks at the carton. I assume it was a cow. She shakes it like it's going to moo for her, then shrugs and goes back through the clacky beads to put it back in the fridge. Cows don't make yellow milk. I sniff the glass. There's no aroma of badness like the milk sometimes got at home, after my dad bought 3 gallons expecting it all to get drank quickly, but instead it just sat there for weeks. Sometimes the milk would have to get poured out, and it'd always be chunky and make my dad gag while he emptied it into the sink. This yellow milk smells a bit sweet. Maybe it came from a yellow cow. I take a sip of the vaguely yellow milk. It tastes really thick. My tongue instantly wishes I hadn't tried it. "So, what are we going to do with her?" Felix's lady friend asks from the other room. That's not really a room unless you consider a bead curtain a wall. She comes back in again and sets a cup of steaming water in front of Felix, with a tea bag floating in it. "Do you Want me to get out the vat of acid? Cue a record scratch in my brain. What the hell? They have a vat of acid? Who keeps a vat of acid on hand? I mean, I guess if anybody would, it would be Broomhilda here and her murderous lover, Weaselface. But how could they possibly get away with just traveling around with a big, stinking cauldron of acid? And what would they even need it for, besides dissolving a little Lily Madwhip body in it? They smile at each other like two crazy lovebirds, emphasis on crazy, and then give me one of those sneaky, ratty kind of looks adults give when they think they're being clever. Felix takes his hands and entwines his fingers with the index one sticking out like he's making a finger gun. He places it on his lips and taps them methodically. Acid's too messy. She's a thrasher. It'll get everywhere. I was thinking we could gag her, weigh her down, and throw her in the river. He shrivels his mouth up, then shrugs and takes a sip of his tea. You lay one finger on me, and I'll turn your arms into stumps, I say with a snarl, holding up my own fingers in a threatening manner. These two don't know who they're dealing with. I'm Lily Madwhip, and I can make people into shredded meat with a thought. Felix chokes on the tea and spits it all over the checkered plastic tablecloth. Is that karate? He says with a snort, causing some of the tea to run out his nose. It clearly stings, and he clenches his eyes shut and pinches his nostrils for a moment before coughing and looking at me again. You wild child, did you learn martial arts? No, I tell him. My thoughts are weapons. I tense up, focus my sight on the handle of his teacup, and flick my wrist to make an invisible slice in the fabric of the veil, careful to avoid severing his finger. Miraculously, the cup doesn't drop to the table and shatter. It floats in the air in front of his hand as if nothing happened. Oh wait, nothing did happen. Felix gives me a funny look. What was that? What did you do? He sees me looking at his cup in confusion and eyes it suspiciously. Did you think bad thoughts at me? Did you poison my tea with your mind? No, I did this, I say with a more dramatic flourish. Into hell with caution, I make a zillion and 12 microscopic veil tears in the tabletop, shredding the tablecloth and causing the table to collapse into splinters. Except it doesn't. The table doesn't collapse. The cloth doesn't shred. Everything stays the same except for the bewildered expressions on my hosts' faces. I look stupid right now, don't I say through my teeth. I drop my hands to my sides and slump back into my chair, resigned to taking that acid bath. Felix sticks his lower lip out and shakes his head in sympathy. He sets his still intact teacup down. No, not at all. See? I know you, Lily. I know you weren't just doing some fancy jazz hands or anything just now. You really thought you were going to make some magic happen, didn't you? Behind him, Esmeralda, or whatever her name is, raises an eyebrow and then lets her eyes dart around the room, high and low, like maybe a giant purple frog in a diaper magically appeared and nobody noticed it, because we were all looking at each other. Felix leans forward on his elbows, entwining his fingers again. I'm sure you noticed that the entire fairground is essentially invisible to your celestial monitoring. Yes? I mean, that's what piqued your interest after all, wasn't it? Who or what could possibly be hiding inside this bubble of invisibility? I don't say anything. I confess, I had hoped to finish up here without running into you. But once I saw you wandering the carnival, I knew the jig was up. Wendy tried to convince me that she could talk you out of looking too hard. I knew better. He glances at his Kodiak-haired accomplice. She shrugs in response. I wasn't looking for you, I start to say, but all I get out is, before he continues. Back to the point. He gestures dramatically at the air around us. Thank goodness for the time I had with our friend Raziel. How is he, by the way? You still have my locket? No, of course not. That's buried in some evidence locker, most likely. Oh, I'm sorry, I keep going off on tangents. Secrets. Yes, secrets. Some ancient ones unlocked to me. Magic runes. Totally useless against normal people, but quite effective against, well, angels, yes? Can't hide a carnival from human eyes, but I sure as heck can hide it from your precious Pashars. Another surge of resistance runs through me, and I start to stand up, to get out of here, to avoid meeting Duma again and having him go. Look at you, just a skeleton like me now. Should have come with me when you had flesh on your bones, but no. Well, this was a wonderful exposition dump, but I really need to get back to the foster center and go to bed. That Wendy lady with the Kodiak hair and the dozens of rings and the flowy dress is suddenly behind me. Or maybe she was always there and I just didn't notice. She pushes me back down into my chair and keeps her hands on my shoulders, digging her fingers in, not quite as hard as that Benny guy did, but still, she's an adult and got the adult edge of strength from years doing adult stuff. Speaking of Pashar, Felix says, tilting his head, have you heard from him recently? Huh? Of course, Actually, he's been awfully quiet since I entered the trailer with Felix. Pashar. Pashar, are you there? Uh-oh. Felix watches me and his mouth curls up into a Grinchian smile. There's even more runes within the confines of this quaint little home of ours than there are around the fairgrounds. No angel baloney allowed, I'm afraid. I probably should have put a sign out front. No mind reading, no future telling, no whatever that hand-wavy thing you were doing was supposed to be. Madam Wendy coughs. It's an intentional cough, not like she's clearing her throat, but like she's trying to hint at something. Cripes, lady. Just say it. I'm not dumb, and you just coughed right in my hair. Oh, yes. Felix nods and rubs his chin with the side of his hand. Some fortune-telling and mind-reading is allowed in here. Apologies, my love. It occurs to me earlier, when she was looking around the room, she might have been looking at the things, the runes, that are locking out my Pashar power. Dang it. I should have paid attention to what she was looking at. I look around with just my eyes, but the upper shelves and corners of the cabin are super dark. These Christmas lights are pretty, but they're also really good at making it hard to see if there are runes out in the open on anything. Madame Wendo starts running her fingers through my hair. What the hell? I can feel her nails dragging along my scalp. They're probably all crusty and gross, and I'm going to have to wash my hair twice to get it clean now. Then she starts humming, and slowly working my head back and forth like she's trying to give me a massage. Maybe she is? Maybe she's a massager or something, as well as a phony fortune teller. I foresee a tragic end in your immediate future, she says calmly. I tense up again, ready for fight or flight. Preferably flight, but I'll take fight if I have to. I can feel all the muscles in my legs want to cramp up, but they won't, because then they'll be no good to me. Is she going to leave her fingers in my hair? I might have to lose some chunks of hair to escape when the time comes. No, no, no. Felix starts to laugh and leans back in his chair, tipping it. I try to will the chair to fall backward and cause him to break his neck, but it doesn't happen. We're not murdering a child, especially this child. Don't you know who this is, Wendy? Tell me, my love, Wendy coos. Ew. I want to be sick, but I can't just barf on command. I knew a kid who could. I forget his name. He had like one friend, this girl named Tracy, who peeled and ate a worm. Then the kid whose name I forget forced himself to vomit on the playground. Between the two of them, they made about half a dozen other kids puke that day. I wish I didn't remember that. Was I one of the other kids who upchucked? No, I wasn't. I saw it all go down, or rather, come up, before it actually happened, and stayed far away from it all. Didn't really matter since I saw everything before it happened, but still, better to see that once than twice. Do you remember the girl I told you about? The one who ruined my life? I snap back to attention, jerking my head out of his weird assistant's clutches. What? I didn't. He points directly at me while looking at her. Well, this is the girl who killed that girl. Yeah, It dawns on me what he's saying. Hey, wait a gosh darn second. That was an accident. How did you even know about that? He laughs. You really thought I had just given up and run away after our last little showdown? No, actually, for some reason I thought you were dead. Why did I think he was dead? Wasn't he in a bad car accident? Right. And then he chased me through the woods. And then Roger ran him over or something. Oh, wait. That was in the Vale. That wasn't really him. Crud. I had totally convinced myself he was dead because of that. He chugs the rest of his cup of tea. You think you know me? With your little angel friend whispering in your ear, you barely scratched the surface of knowing me, girl. My gift was twofold. They all are. I knew your secrets, but also knew how to keep my own from the prying eyes of your little know-it-all angel. I was going to get her, one way or another. He holds a hand up with his fingers pressed together like he's pinching the underside of an invisible elbow. I hunted Meredith Patterson for weeks after I found out she'd survived her first house fire. Weeks. And then, the whole shebang with you and that crazy persistent lady cop, losing my connection to the divine. I thought about just crawling under the nearest bridge and drinking myself to death. But justice wasn't complete. She took my boy, Myjoseph. More tea, love? Madame Gwendy asks. He's not even listening to her. He's in full-on, insane rant mode. She glances at my half-full cup of yellow milk and gives it a nod, to which I reply with a frantic headshake. No. So, I tracked her down again. I found where they'd moved to. I had everything set up to nab her in the middle of the night, and what happens? She vanishes, right out of her bedroom, and I'm standing there completely flummoxed with duct tape and twist ties and everything I needed to snatch her away. He grabs his head and shakes it in disbelief. Did they realize I was coming? Was I in danger? Imagine my surprise when I heard on the news that she ended up all the way back here, incinerated in a giant explosion. At whose house? My house, I whisper. Your house. Lily freaking Madwhip yanks her out of my clutches again. Except, this time, things went kinda bad. Huh? I don't imagine you magically teleported her across the state just to blow her up with your parents, did you? We sit and look at each other for about a minute. I can hear a clock somewhere actually ticking the seconds off. Speaking of which, this whole situation has me rather ticked off myself. I came here looking for Meredith, and now I'm stuck in this trailer full of runes being talked to death by Weaselman and his weird lady friend. What do you want from me? I ask finally, glaring at him. You say you're not going to dunk me in acid, then let me go. I didn't come here looking for you. I didn't even know you were still alive. He leans forward and props his elbows on the table, which is something my mother used to say you must never do. But now that she's gone, I do it all the time myself, because that's what elbows are for. That and letting you scratch your own back. Why did you come here? Felix asks. He cocks his head and blinks at me. Wendelina is back on his side of the table. I swear she moves like a ninja. She wraps her arm around him and drapes herself like a scarf across his shoulder. She said she was looking for something in the claw machine. He gives her a glance. Oh, then focuses back on me. What were you looking for in the claw machine, Lily? Don't tell him about Meredith. But maybe I tell him I want the blue cat doll? I can't tell if he's in the mood to give me exactly what I want, or deny me exactly what I want. He seems to be happy that I caused Meredith's death, but at the same time kind of pissed that I kept her from him. I gotta think. Dang it. I need Pashar. Wanted one of those funny blue cat dolls. Okay, well, I guess I'm going with honesty. Let's hope that doesn't bite me in the ass. I used to have one, but it got stolen. Felix scrunches up his weasel face and squints at me. I can see the gears churning in his head. Not literally. He's not a robot. He doesn't have actual gears inside his head. Or wires. I can't swear by that since I haven't seen the inside of his noggin, nor do I really want to. But the point is that he's doing a lot of thinking, and he's not a robot. Open her backpack. Before I can react, which would have been something like, wait, What? No. And then jumping out of my chair, throwing open the trailer door, and risking a face-off with Benny the Brute. Psychic Lady Gwenny is behind me again, grabbing my backpack by the straps and yanking it off my shoulders. She's strong. She lifts me out of my chair for a moment until my armpits scream, and I lift my arms and let the backpack slide off before she amputates both of them. My armpits don't literally scream, of course. That's one of those similes or metaphors. I always get them confused. Next thing I know, the contents of my backpack are being dumped out in front of me. Madame Phony separates them all, naming each item as she moves it away from the rest. One pair of yellow socks. She glances at me. I shrug and glare at her, in case I get my feet wet. I mean, what else would they be for? She looks over the rim of her glasses at me like my mother used to do when I'd ask for an early payday loan on my allowance. A child's drawing. I frown at the dismissive description. That's a Maya of the city, I tell her. I turn to Felix. Look, can we put this all back since you're not going to kill me? There's nothing in here of interest. Felix picks up my map and starts turning it over and over, like he can't tell which way is supposed to be up, even though north is clearly marked with an arrow like it should be. One book, unlabeled, with a doodle of a skull and bones on it. Wendy picks up my journal and turns it over in her hands. There is a lock but no key. She looks at me again, then her eyes travel down, and she seems to notice something. Her hand flashes out like a lightning bolt, disappearing into my coat pocket. Before I can slap it away, she pulls it out, taking the contents of my pocket with her. A compass and a roll of quarters. The compass is in case I get lost on my way here. No sense lying about that. The less I lie, the more they'll trust me, and the easier it will be to get away with a lie when I need to. The quarters were for the claw machine. Like I said, I wanted a kitty doll. She sets the compass and quarters down next to my journal, then picks up the second to last item from my backpack. A plastic baggie containing 5 cookies. How dare she? Those aren't cookies. Those are Fig Newtons. And finally, a Ken doll. She picks up Pashar. I try not to react, but my spine stiffens as she holds him up. Felix is watching me. I'm not looking at him to know this. I can just feel his eyes burning into my cheeks. He knows. He knows that's no ordinary doll. Oh, Lordy. He's going to take Pashar and keep him in this rune-filled trailer and throw me into a vat of acid, and nobody will ever know what happened to. Put it all back, he says, tossing the map back onto the pile. All of it. Lady Marmalade and I look at each other and blink. Did he just say to put all my stuff back? You heard the man, I say in my grown-up voice. Put my stuff back in my backpack. I jerk my thumb at my stuff and give her my hardest stare. She seems generally unmoved by my glare, my voice, or my confident thumb move, but puts the items back anyway, making sure to stick the Fig Newtons in first so that everything else mashes them into the baggie. Once she's done, she shoves the backpack at me. There you go. Felix leans back in his chair and waves a hand at me dismissively. All right, get out of here. He waits for me to move, but I'm not going to move because that's when they stick you in the back with a knife and then chop you into pieces and bury you in a shallow grave. What are you waiting for? I said, you can go. So, go. And don't even think about coming back here. This carnival is off limits to you. Don't think I won't see you coming. You, your little angel? Your finger tricks. He wiggles his fingers at me in a mocking manner. None of it will fly here. I'll have my boy Benny turn you into a human pretzel. That'll be hard for Benny to do without any fingers, I think to myself. But my veil shredding didn't work in the trailer, and I'm not sure it'll work anywhere on the carnival grounds because of these magic runes he's got all over the place. I get up slowly, never taking my eyes off them. Madame Phony saunters back over to Felix and starts petting his greasy hair. He stares at me, watching me go, and raises one hand to give me a little bye-bye wave. I walk out of the trailer backward, hugging my backpack to my chest. If they try anything, the backpack will be my shield, except for bullets. It isn't a bulletproof backpack. It's not acid-proof either, or fireproof. Generally speaking, this backpack is a terrible defensive item, but it's better than nothing. Big Bad Benny is standing just outside the door. He turns to face me, then looks past me into the trailer. Escort her to the edge of the fairgrounds, Felix tells him, and if you see her again tonight, feel free to break something. Lily! Pashtar is immediately in my head. Oh, thank goodness you're all right. I sent Abaddon into the Vale to prepare a rescue party. What happened? Did they hurt you in any way? I'm a little taken aback. I got forced into a trailer by the man who nearly killed my father, and you were going to throw a party? Pashkar seems flustered. No, that's not. I meant a mission. A rescue mission. Wherever it was you were, it was like a lead-lined bunker of ancient magics. He can't even see the trailer. He's totally blind as long as we're inside the ruins Felix has covered this place with. Yeah, I know there's runes all over the place in there. Benny shoves me. Shut up and get moving. He marches me to the edge of the field where all the cars are parked. Some people watch us go by. An old lady with thick glasses shakes her head at me, and I give her a stink eye back because even though I can't read her thoughts, she's making it very clear from her expression of disapproval that she thinks I'm some sort of troublemaker. Wouldn't she be surprised to learn that that little girl she shook her head at tonight talks to angels? She'll never know, though. She'll go right on thinking she's talking to them in church, and that girl she saw tonight is just a deviant who's lost her way. Benny suddenly brings his foot up, places the bottom of it square in the center of my back, and then shoves me so hard I fall onto the parking lot concrete and skid along a bit. There's a gasp from several people who witness it, followed by some whispering, but whoever it is sees Benny and doesn't even come over to see if I'm okay, let alone confront the giant about kicking a little girl in the back. Don't come back, he snarls at me. Then he stands there and crosses his beefy arms and just waits like a gargoyle. That's an apt comparison, I think, since his face kinda looks like a gargoyle's. I have half a mind to roll over and slice Benny in half with a thought, but that would be straight up murder, even if they couldn't prove I did it. Also, since I just thought it, Pashar now knows I was thinking it. Lily, no. You can't use your gifts in that way. He chastises me. I make sure not to think if he only knew how many times I've used it at school to deal with bullies. Are you serious? He says with a tinge of horror. Oh, I guess I just thought that by thinking about not thinking about it. Lily, I can't abide you causing harm to others. But this is a topic for another time. It was just some pants and backpack straps. No physical harm to anybody. I mutter into the dirt. My backpack caught the brunt of my fall and drag along the pavement, but my hands are scraped up, as well as my knees. Why always my hands and knees? The last time this happened, I ended up getting clocked with a telephone and tossed in a basement by some nutjob named David Clark and his mother. Then a bunch of other things happened, including getting possessed by a demon, seeing several people die, and getting tortured by the brother of Officer Flowers. The one thing I took away from all that is that gel deodorant really burns when some child stabber rubs it on your fresh scrapes. Get up, Pashkar says. Let's get you somewhere safe. Easier for you to say, I groan, rolling off my backpack. You don't got a little body that bleeds when pavement rips the skin off it. I'm sorry, Lily. We'll get you back to the foster center and clean those scrapes. But also, I have an idea that can help us get past the ruins. What is it? I don't know if I want to hear this. I want to go back to the foster center and lie on my bed until morning when the rooster crows. Not that we have a rooster. That's a farm thing. I just want to lie on my bed and bleed. There must be a way to counteract the runes. Some sort of back door or anti-magic rune that we can use to reverse or nullify the ones Felix is using. Can't we just ask Raziel? Raziel knows secrets. Raziel accidentally taught Felix these runes after all. Not Raziel, Pashkar says grimly. Samiel. I think I'd rather have Benny the Wookiee rip both my arms off.